Smasho here, coming at you with the daily space weather. Here from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, and thanks for tuning in. We've got some CMEs to talk about today, as well as some weather information and lots more. Some fantastic imagery of the sun there will tell you how those CMEs are likely, where those CMEs are likely headed later in the video. Here's some composite imagery. That's yesterday plus today. And we actually streamed this CME live yesterday on our Twitch channel. It came out of the main portion of it came out of here. There is also a secondary CME that came out of the Northwest. Twitch.tv/smashomash is the URL of the Twitch channel. Here's your SDO intensity gram. And here's your SDO magnetogram. Lots of sunspots currently on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Also, likelihood of additional coronal mass ejections, nearly 100%. There's a crazy number of filaments in the southern hemisphere especially. We'll show you those a little bit later also. Please support the channel via our homepage. You can find links there. Thanks to our Patreons, by the way. We still do have a Patreon, although we did replace it primarily with smashomash.com/smashteam, which you can also find links to on the homepage. And welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. We've been quite active on the internet in the past about 6 years. And I'll try to avoid saying the word shadow ban as much as possible. Don't forget to ask questions and question answers. One of the links you can find on the homepage is the link to SureMed. It's right here. Enhance your health with a membership to the American Better Health Organization, otherwise known as SureMed. You'll get doctors by phone, counselors by phone, virtual veterinarians, dental discounts, vision discounts, access to the retail and mail-order pharmacy, discounts on labs, vitamins, CT scans, durable medical equipment, hearing aids, and more. So visit the link, sign up at SureMed, or drop me a line. If you want to hear more about it, I can enroll you right over the phone. During normal business hours, I usually work 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern Time. You can also send me an email there. Again, all the links on the homepage. And thanks to our Smash Team members, especially Gold and Silver level Smash Team, our executive producers of the content. They are partially responsible for keeping this content in existence and making sure that it remains publicly visible and free for all to view. So check that out. Additional content available there. We just posted some additional content over the weekend for our Gold level Smash Team members. Gold and Silver members receive additional content. The best value is the Gold annual paid-up subscription. And if you visit the merch links, if you're looking for some sweet gear with our custom designs, you can find links on the homepage to the Smasho merch as well as below this video. And today's featured product is, while I'm wearing the Universum Liberate, the motto of the Galactic Federation Special Forces, and these are, by the way, shown in order of best-selling. Today's featured product is a re-release. Get yourself a souvenir, and congratulations on surviving a global pandemic so far. It's Smasher Price, My First Pandemic. Now again, I'm wearing the Universum Liberate. It's the motto of the Galactic Federation Special Forces. As if I could wave my magic wand, I'd set everybody free. Let us know in the comments if you think Elon Musk is going to be fixing censorship by finally purchasing Twitter, or will he just become a tool of censorship? I heard some crazy ideas about blockchain-based something or other and a new app or some nonsense like that. But let us know what you think in the comments, or hit us up on Twitter at twitter.com/smashomash. Once again, congratulations on surviving a global pandemic so far. As some people out there still trying to mask the world. I guess they're suggesting that wearing a mask, especially that type of mask, will prevent a pandemic. In any case, press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Thanks to our YouTube subscribers for putting up with the pathetic censorship on the platform. If you're viewing on BitChute, make sure you view on YouTube. You're missing a lot of the playlists. There are things like product reviews, music videos, cosmology segments, long, in-depth conversations about various subjects on the Diamond Anvil Too Hard to Smash, Terms Defined, SmashOmash.org presents The Sun, and more. Once again, thanks to our YouTube subscribers. Don't forget to press like and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, let us know in the comments how you found us. And let's do the volcano rundown. Nishinoshima continues to erupt, producing an 8,000-foot ash plume, flight level 080. Sakurajima, flight level 060 over Kyushu from Sakurajima. Suwanosejima, flight level 050, 5,000-foot ash plume over the Ryukyu Islands. Tal in the Philippines reported a 2,000-foot volcanic ash plume. And Ruapehu on the North Island of New Zealand. By the way, there's the crater lake. It looks like it has been returning to background levels here, so the likelihood of an impending eruption seems to have dropped as the heat signature on the lake has dropped. So, to summarize, all monitoring data remain at background levels with decreasing potential for impending eruption. Popocatépetl exploding in central Mexico, producing a 19,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Please don't pole vault the caldera. Nevado del Ruiz exploding in Colombia, flight level 200. It's a 20,000-foot ash plume. Also 20,000-foot ash plume over Sangay in Ecuador. Revenador, 15,000-foot ash plume as it also explodes. Moving down to Peru, Sabancaya exploding, flight level 240. From Sabancaya, unable to detect Nevado State Chilean in central Chile. Don't assume it's not erupting. And an update here on Piton de la Fournaise on the Isle of Réunion. Effusive eruption continues. Fountaining activity has decreased, but lots of sulfur dioxide emissions there, stretching as far as 400 kilometers to the west-southwest. The emissions are estimated to have reached 2,500 tons on October 3rd. So, ongoing eruption there on the Isle of Réunion. And let's get back to seismicity here. So, it's been fairly calm. We may have an earthquake forecast based on the ionosphere. We may see a big earthquake coming to the Caribbean or northern South America. We'll see what happens, as we do see some anomalies, which we will get to later in the ionosphere section. We'll see what happens. Let's just scroll up the list here. Largest quakes of the past 24 hours were 5.6 magnitude. We still do see a little bit of activity there at the Reykjanes Ridge, part of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge there, south-southeast of Greenland. But only one 4.5 magnitude quake there. It seems to have calmed down. The largest quake we saw there was a 6 magnitude. Indonesia saw a 5.1. Iran had a 5.6. That one happened at 0:21. 21 minutes after midnight Universal Time. Let us know if you felt any earthquakes in the past 24 hours. I'm sorry, the largest quake of the past 24 was a 5.8 at Peru. That one came in at 8:26 this morning. And let's go back to space. So here's some composite imagery that we brought up. This is 193 plus 304 angstroms. And you can see the filamentary eruptions here. Great imagery there of this CME happening in the south as well as up here in the north. There was some solar flaring in the past 24, and thanks for leaving a comment, Tinman1057. Good morning to you as well. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux has actually dropped to 152 solar flux units from 154. There's the 1 year graph of that. It's the black line. And for you new viewers, the 10.7 centimeter radial flux is the most proportional data set we have to sunspot number. It comes from the upper chromosphere and the lower corona. The red line is the sunspot number. The black line is the 10.7 centimeter radio flux. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard forecasting some additional geomagnetic unrest into early in the day tomorrow. We'll have to see what happens. We still do see a somewhat elevated solar wind speed. We'll get to it. First, Earth's magnetic moment from space. So here's the last 4 hours. We show it daily on the channel. This data is inaccessible in archival format. You can only see the last 4 hours. So we at least show 4 hours a day of the magnetohydrodynamic pressure. The scale this depicts is nanopascals. Next, Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. The scale depicted here is nanotesla, is the units. It is the past 4 hours. It'll show you the most likely places for rail line, pipeline, electrical grid induction, as well as the aurora. And if you've got aurora imagery or video, share it with us on Twitter. We will retweet. Next, the planetary K-index, a measurement of global geomagnetism, and you can see we had quite a bit of geomagnetic unrest and a minor period of geomagnetic storm conditions there in the past 3 days. For the past 12 hours, KP3, it's a geomagnetic calm condition. So looking at the real-time solar wind here, we did get slightly over 600 kilometers per second for a brief period, as I forecasted yesterday. Solar wind density here staying quite flatlined here, right around 10 protons per cubic centimeter, which is where it currently is, just under 10 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed here, 533 kilometers per second, so that's an ongoing high-speed coronal hole wind stream. Next, looking at magnetic data, there's a South Pole current sheet headed this way, and those are the GOES magnetometers for the past 3 days. So here's that current sheet we're talking about. By tomorrow's video, Earth is very likely to be in a South Pole current sheet, shown there in red. Let's take a look at the line of sight, since that's the top view ecliptic plane field plot. Moving to the line of sight one, there we go. There's the sun's B field in blue, this depicting the solar magnetogram also. The B field is the field that goes through the magnet, this magnet being the sun. North solar polar field shown in green, south solar polar field shown in red. And next, 2 coronal holes. So we see some south pole oriented coronal holes rotating here in the north, behind sunspot 3112, which is, I think, the most spectacular sunspot we've seen of solar cycle 25. We'll show it. First, the coronal hole imagery from SDO. So these are all North Pole-oriented coronal holes here. We're starting to see some definition of this South Pole-oriented coronal hole up here. In a couple days, that'll be much more well-defined. At the moment, mainly North Pole coronal holes visible. And let's move to sunspots. And thanks for leaving a comment, Acrylic D. So we've got quite a few named sunspot groups here. Likelihood of large solar flares remains very, very high, especially from sunspot 3010 and 3110, 3113, setting here on the northwestern limb. The likelihood of major flares remains high because, well, they're close to the limb, and complex magnetic sunspot groups that are setting or rising are the most likely ones to produce major flares. So let's take a look at sunspots. Here is your SDO magnetogram. And they've been quite stable here over the past 24 hours, which is what is depicted in this imagery. Here's the SDO continuum. And there are some active regions rising in the east, but at the moment they do not appear to be sunspots. We'll show you high-res imagery of that toward the end of the video. And here's some composite. It's 335 plus 171 angstroms. And if you're wondering what those are portions of the ultraviolet spectrum. Very specific spectra emitted by very specific chemicals, namely different ionized species of iron. Continuing on to the sunspot, the solar flare portion, no relativistic particles there. The ghost proton flux remains flatlined despite having a large flare yesterday. So we had this large flare. It was an M1.4. It was associated with some ejecta. One of those CMEs that we showed you did indeed come from the same region of the sun as that flare did. Although the background flare profile has dropped a little bit here. So here is the last 24 hours in 94 angstroms. We'll also show 131 angstroms. And as our regular viewers may have expected, the largest flare of the past 24 did indeed come from sunspot 3110 / sunspot 3113. It was really sort of a simultaneous event because you could see some activity happening down here too, some plasma reorientation happening there at the same time as the waves reverberate across the surface of the closest star. And let's get to the 131 angstroms wavelength. There you go. And you might be wondering where those coronal mass ejections are headed. We will show you. We've got some definitive data on that coming up. Next, looking at a star chart, this is what's going on over our heads. We're located in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Mars near the apex of the ecliptic as Jupiter sets in the west. And Mercury rising ahead of the sun. Also, we've got Deneb just setting there in the northwest. Deneb, the brightest intrinsic object visible from Earth. It's an X-ray binary. Next, doing a solar system forecast. We've got a gibbous waxing as we approach a full moon for the month of October. Let's advance this 1 week. And there's where things will be in a week. Tomorrow is Smash Staff's birthday. Don't forget to wish Smash Staff a happy birthday. Next, looking at some coronagraphs. And we've got this kind of a dual coronal mass ejection. Is it earthly directed? Well, we'll let you know. That's yesterday's imagery. And here's today's imagery. 20 more frames there. Looks like a little additional CME happening there from the southwestern limb. And let's look at some more definitive data here from stereo A to see if we can get a trajectory of those CMEs. Stereo A located here at Lagrangian 0.5. And we do indeed have some definitive imagery here. So looking at when those CMEs happen, there's the one from the northwest. And there's the other one from the southwest. And those do not appear to be earthly directed. So we like to see that definitive imagery there from stereo A. Let's let that play through. And it doesn't really look earthly directed from the perspective of the LASCO C3 either, here shown on the right. And that, by the way, is located here at Lagrangian 0.1 between the Earth and the Sun, about 1 million miles toward the Sun. Earth would be behind you from the LASCO's perspective, and off in this direction from stereo A coronagraph's perspective. I'll let that play through one more time, and then we'll show a great 24-hour image. Great definitive light shows happening there on the coronagraphs. Nothing happening there expected to be earthly effective. So this is the last 24 hours. It's SDO 304 angstroms plus the SOHO LASCO C2 and C3. Little light show happening there. Also Venus making an appearance. Let's continue on as there's plenty more to cover. Look at the number of filaments in the southern hemisphere. This is the ground-based solar observatory at Learmonth, Australia. And look at how many filaments are down here. Yowzers. Also lots of filaments in the northeast and the southeast. So tons of filaments. Likelihood of additional coronal mass ejections remains at nearly 100%, folks. Once again, we'll be streaming it today. The GO16 SUVI at twitch.tv/smashomash. Install the Twitch app if you want to see when we go live. We do it regularly on the channel. Twitch.tv/smashomash. So this is the last about 2.5 hours from the GO16 SUVI, 304 angstroms wavelength. What's great about it is it has a wide field of view, so it often does show coronal mass ejections. And here's the last 24 hours in 335 plus 171 angstroms from SDO. It's time. Time to get to bonus features. So let's do it. Starting out with station identification. And welcome to the Smash News Network least busted name in news. We have some satellite charging hazards here, some surface charging hazards over the Caribbean, northern South America, and Mexico. Those are caused by low-energy electrons building up on the surfaces of satellites, hence the name, surface charging hazards. Here are our GOES electron flux data. The GO16 and GO17 there showing a little higher levels of electron flux here. Perhaps an indication that the coronal hole wind stream is about to subside. We are sort of expecting it to subside anytime soon. And there's a relativistic electron forecast model by NOAA. Expecting a minor uptick by tomorrow. No argument from me there. There's the 1-year graph to put it in context. That's from solon.info. And next we'll show the ionosphere, which is showing some significant anomalies. So first, the vibrational frequency itself. This data from the Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology. We are seeing some significant anomalies here. North of South America there, around the Caribbean, the Western Caribbean especially. So it'll be more obvious on the anomalygram, which is why we show it daily. This is anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. And if you watch this area right here, there's going to be significant swings there in the vibrational frequency of the F layer, the layer between Earth and the bridge between Earth and space. Not sure if that has any predictive value or not, but if I did try to forecast earthquakes, I'd say in the next 4 days there might be a large quake in Western Caribbean. Not sure if that's definitive science or not yet, but we'll see what happens. As we are open to considering even radical ideas, if they're not complete nonsense. Anyway, there's the latest image. That's 10 o'clock Universal Time ionogram, 10 o'clock Universal Time anomalygram. And let's take a look at the total electron content as well. The total electron content shows the free electrons from about 12,500 miles of altitude, the location of your GPS satellite, down to your handset. So from the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt all the way down to ground level, these are the free electrons. Like sands through the hourglass of time, these are the places you could expect to see large GPS errors. I guess that's nothing like the sands through the hourglass of time, but nonetheless, those are your total electrons. It's literally showing electron density. And we've got your latest intensitygram and latest colorized magnetogram. We show the refresh on purpose, so you know you're seeing the latest high-res data. So the most likely place to see large flares is indeed from sunspot 3110 and 3113. There are the fields. They are still sufficiently magnetically complex to produce large flares. And let's take a look at this gargantuan sunspot 3112, which will barely fit on the screen because it is spectacular. It still does indeed feature a plethora of magnetic fields. Whoops, there we go. A plethora of magnetic fields there. It is a beta gamma delta class. Again, we do have some new active regions rising over here. That might be a sunspot. That could be a minor sunspot. We'll see what happens with that. And let's show one more series of images. This is Iron Star, 94, 335 plus 193 angstroms. That is the data from yesterday plus today. And it's time to move to meteorology. So we've got the low that was Hurricane Ian, and it's just hanging around. And dear Ian, please go away. We are pretty sick of you. Anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. We're starting out here looking at waves. We indeed have some 28 footers here in between Sweden and Iceland. Let's see where the largest waves on the planet are. I think that might be them. Some decent waves here in the Southern Ocean as well. Oh, there's a 29 footers down there around Antarctica. Here's the regularly scheduled surface winds. We've got a low pressure system here building in the central Indian Ocean. And here are the jet streams of the east. Jet streams of the west. Surface winds of the west. Surface winds of the central world. And there are the jet streams. Concentrated jet stream there over southern Africa, and some huge bends in the jet stream there over eastern Europe. Some cold air being injected way down south, and some warm air being sent to the north. North of the Caspian Sea there, getting some warm weather there, the North Caspian. Continuing on to show clouds and fog over the Americas. It's the 3.9 nanometer radiation satellite there from the part of the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite as the sun rises over the western Atlantic. Low, low, go away. We are quite sick of the rain. It's been raining here since Saturday. It's just been loitering. This is your weather.gov map. If your county's lit, click your county at weather.gov. Not a lot of weather warnings at the moment. So here's your pressure and wind forecast, and thank goodness that low is about to shuffle off to the Azores. Please go away promptly. Pretty sick of the rain at this point. Developing cabin fever. And here's your pressure and precipitation forecast. A bunch of snow there forecasted for large swaths of Canada. Some heavy snow there in the forecast, indeed. Also some wintry mix and some freezing rain expected at the tail end of that. That's your 72-hour GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. Let's take a look at the Euro model. So here's this low that was Hurricane Ian, and it's just hanging out there in between the Delaware and Chesapeake Bays. Let's forecast this on the Euro model, and indeed on the Euro model, it's also leaving. Goodbye and good riddance, as it has rained and rained and rained. Euro model forecasting high pressure over Kansas City, likely clear skies in about 3 days. Here's your NASA GOES lightning mapper. Only some minor lightning there over the past about 10 hours. And let's take a look at a real-time lightning map. Do we have any terrestrial strikes? When you hear thunder, check it out, lightningmaps.org. It could save your you-know-what. In Central America, seeing quite a bit of lightning there. At least over the past hour. Things pretty calm at the moment in the U.S. So here's your U.S. Doppler radar map showing all 50 states there. It's USA, the allegedly United States of America. And remember, folks, there's no accountability in banana republics. Here is the U.S. Doppler radar map. It looks like the rain is finally about to subside here in the next day or two at least. Here's your shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog over the lower 48. And last but not least, there is your water vapor map. And we'll have to close this thing out with a recap. Vertical motion of water droplets from ground-based systems known as Doppler radar. Satellite-based infrared radiation at 3.9 nanometers. Showing clouds and fog, and last but not least, water vapor, showing all the water vapor. Once again, thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, and may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video, not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted name in news.